Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on Akashvani. This is Saira Mujtaba, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a three-nation tour of Japan, Papua New Guinea and Australia on Friday. US President Joe Biden holds talks with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Both leaders agree to address regional security challenges, including coercive behavior by China, North Korea. US court approves extradition of 26/11 Mumbai attack accused Tahavvur Rana to India. Indian naval ships carrying relief material reach cyclone Mocha hit Myanmar under Operation Karuna. Montana to become first US state to ban Chinese app TikTok on personal devices. Amazon Web Services to invest over 1 lakh crore rupees in India by 2030 to create over 1,30,000 jobs. UK telecom company BT Group to cut up to 55,000 jobs by 2030 due to rise in uses of fiber and artificial intelligence. Tennis legend Rafael Nadal to miss French Open due to hip injury, expects 2024 to be last year of his career. And in women's hockey, India lose to Australia by 2-4 at Mace Stadium in Adelaide. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi will embark on a three-nation tour of Japan, Papua New Guinea and Australia Friday morning. On the first leg of his tour, Mr. Modi will attend the G7 summit in Japan at the invitation of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Briefing media in New Delhi this afternoon, Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra said the G7 summit has chosen several key priorities for the current presidency. The broad terms of the G7 summit preferences include nuclear disarmament, economic resilience and security, regional issues, climate and energy, food and health, and development. There are other priorities also, such as digitization and science and technology, which will be highlighted during several sessions at the summit.
The broad terms of the G7 summit preferences, in particular regarding their outreach with the invited guest countries, is 1. on nuclear disarmament, 2. on economic resilience and economic security, 3. regional issues, 4. climate and energy, 5. food and health and development. There are other priorities also, such as digitization and science and technology, which would get highlighted in various sessions during the G7 summit.
Foreign Secretary said India's participation at the summit in Hiroshima would be structured around 3 formal sessions. 2 sessions will be held on the 20th of May and the third one will be held on the 21st. The first session relates to food, health, development and gender equality. The second session is on climate, energy and environment. The third is titled Towards Peaceful, Stable and Prosperous World. On the sidelines of the G7 summit, Prime Minister Modi will hold bilateral discussions with several leaders of the G7.
India has also participated in several ministerial level meetings of the G7, including in particular of the one relating to climate, energy and environment, 2 relating to digital and technology, and 3rd relating to health and finance. On the sidelines of the G7 summit, besides his interaction with the G7 countries and other guest countries in the 3 structural sessions, Prime Minister will also hold bilateral discussions with several leaders of the G7, as also with the guest countries and the international organizations.
Japan has also invited Australia, Brazil, Comoros, Cook Islands, Indonesia, South Korea and Vietnam and some of the international organizations including the UN. The Prime Minister will also hold bilateral meetings with his Japanese counterpart and unveil a bust of Mahatma Gandhi in Hiroshima. Foreign Secretary said that a Quad leaders meeting is being planned in Hiroshima with leaders of all Quad nations. Mr. Kwatra said India's regular participation at the G7 summits clearly points to increasing recognition that India should be a part of any serious effort to resolve global challenges, including those of peace, security, development and environment preservation.
India's regular participation at the G7 summits clearly points to increasing recognition that India should be a part of any serious effort to resolve global challenges, including those of peace, security, development and environment preservation. This is even more salient in the context of our ongoing presidency of the G20 and our particular efforts to prioritize the interest and concerns of our fellow country members of the Global South.
On the second leg of his visit, the Prime Minister will reach Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea on the evening of 21st of May. He will jointly host the third summit of the Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation with his Papua New Guinea counterpart, James Marape, the following day. The FIPIC involves India and 14 Pacific Island countries. This will be the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Papua New Guinea.
After Japan, for the second leg of his three-country visit, Honorable Prime Minister will visit Papua New Guinea, which will include 1. The organization and the co-chairing of the third Forum for Indo-Pacific Island Cooperation, FIPIC Summit on 22 May.
Prime Minister Modi will have bilateral engagements in Papua New Guinea, including meetings with Governor-General Bob Tede and Prime Minister James Marape. He will also hold bilateral engagement with Fiji Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka and New Zealand Prime Minister Chris Hipkins. On the same day, Mr. Modi will travel to Sydney in Australia on the 22nd of May. He will hold bilateral meeting with his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese on the 24th of May. The Prime Minister is also expected to call on Governor-General David Hurley. Mr. Modi will also interact with Australian CEOs and business leaders and address the Indian diaspora at a community event in Sydney on the 23rd of May. Australian Prime Minister is also expected to join Mr. Modi at the event. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Japan, Papua New Guinea and Australia.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will embark on a three-nation tour of Japan, Papua New Guinea and Australia from the 19th to the 24th of May 2023. He will be visiting Hiroshima in Japan from the 19th to the 21st of May. The invitation has been extended by Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida for the G7 summit. Japan is hosting the summit in its capacity as the current chair of the G7. During the summit, the Prime Minister will speak at G7 sessions with partner countries on subjects such as peace, stability and prosperity of a sustainable planet, food, fertilizer and energy security. G7 brings together leaders from the European Union, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom and the United States. The Prime Minister will hold a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. He will also hold bilateral meetings with some of the participating leaders on the sidelines of the summit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will then travel to Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea, where he will host the third summit of the Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation, jointly with Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, James Marape, on the 22nd of May 2023. Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation was launched during Prime Minister Modi's visit to Fiji in November 2014. It includes 14 of the island countries: Cook Islands, Fiji, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Micronesia, Nauru, Niue, Palau, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Tonga, Tuvalu and Vanuatu. Though these countries are relatively small in land area and distant from India, many have large exclusive economic zones and offer promising possibilities for fruitful cooperation. India's focus has largely been on the Indian Ocean, where it has sought to play a major role and protect its strategic and commercial interests. The Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation initiative marks a serious effort to expand India's engagement in the Pacific region. Prime Minister Modi will have bilateral engagements in Papua New Guinea, including including meetings with Governor General Bob Dadai and Prime Minister James Marape. This will be the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Papua New Guinea. Thereafter, Prime Minister Modi will visit Sydney, Australia from the 22nd to the 24th of May 2023 at the invitation of Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister of Australia. Since the President Joe Biden cancelled his visit to Sydney to attend the Quad leaders meeting, Albanese said the leaders of Australia, the United States, India and Japan would instead meet at the G7 in Japan this weekend. Australia's Quad partnership with India, Japan and the United States is a key pillar in Australia's foreign policy. The Quad is a diplomatic network of 4 countries committed to supporting an open, stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific that is inclusive and resilient. During his visit, the Prime Minister will have a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Albanese on the 24th of May 2023. He will also interact with Australian CEOs and business leaders and address the Indian diaspora at a community event in Sydney on the 23rd of May 2023.
That was our hotspot section, and now in some more news. United States President Joe Biden and Prime Minister of Japan Fumio Kishida held bilateral talks in Hiroshima on Thursday ahead of the G7 summit. Both the leaders agreed to advance cooperation on a range of security, economic and regional issues, besides addressing challenges emerging due to North Korea and China, said a statement issued by the White House. According to the statement, Mr. Biden underscored that the U.S.-Japan alliance is the cornerstone of regional peace and prosperity. Both leaders discussed ways to further strengthen defense cooperation, building on Japan's revised strategy documents and increased defense investments. They also addressed efforts to bolster economic cooperation, including through negotiations on the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework (IPEF), the promotion of clean and secure energy, and the establishment of diverse and resilient critical mineral supply chains. The leaders highlighted their deepening cooperation on emerging technology as well as in areas like quantum computing and semiconductors. Both leaders affirmed their resolve to work closely together to address regional security challenges, including the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's nuclear and ballistic missiles program and coercive behavior by the People's Republic of China that runs counter to international law. The two leaders underscored their opposition to any attempts to change the status quo by force and reiterated their resolve to maintain peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. They also reaffirmed their support for ASEAN centrality and emphasized the importance of increasing multilateral cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region, particularly with the Republic of Korea, the Quad nations including Australia and India, Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands. Mr. Biden also said he looked forward to a productive G7 summit under Japan's leadership. A U.S. court has approved the extradition of 26/11 Mumbai terror attack accused Pakistan-origin Canadian Tahawwur Rana to India. California District Court Judge Jacqueline Shurian approved the Indian government's request for Rana's extradition. Rana was arrested in the United States on an extradition request by India for his role in Mumbai terror attacks in 2008, in which more than 160 people, including 6 Americans, were killed. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will dedicate the newly constructed Parliament building to the nation on the 28th of May 2023. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla met Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday and invited him to inaugurate the new Parliament building. Construction of the new Parliament building is complete now, and the new building symbolizes the spirit of a self-reliant India. India has extended a hand of friendship to the people of Myanmar affected by Cyclone Mocha. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said 3 Indian naval ships carrying relief material reached Yangon on Thursday under Operation Karuna. A 4th ship will be reaching on Friday. The ships are carrying emergency food items, tents, essential medicines, water pumps, portable generators, clothes, sanitary and hygiene items. Dr. Jaishankar said India continues to be the first responder in the region. India has expressed interest in deepening trade ties and expanding connectivity with Bangladesh. Conrad Sangma, Chief Minister of India's northeastern state, Meghalaya, highlighted the possibility of import of garments, plastic products, electronic products, processed food and frozen food from Bangladesh. He made the comments when High Commissioner of Bangladesh to India, Mustafizur Rahman, called on him at his office in Meghalaya on Wednesday, reports the official news agency BSS. Chief Minister Sangma also laid emphasis on strengthening mutual partnership in the global value chain and diversification of products. He also sought Bangladesh's cooperation in expanding tourism in Meghalaya. In Pakistan, former Prime Minister and Tehreek-e-Insaf Party chief Imran Khan's house in Zaman Park has been surrounded by the police once again. The police kept up their siege around the house after a 24-hour deadline set by the Punjab government for Khan to hand over suspects allegedly sheltered inside expired at 2 p.m. on Thursday. The police claim that 30 to 40 people involved in violent protests after Khan's May 9 arrest are allegedly hiding in Khan's house. The police also claim to have arrested at least 8 suspects on Thursday after they left Khan's house and tried to escape via a nearby canal. Last week, Khan's supporters attacked public property and military installations after he was dragged out of a courtroom and arrested in a graft case. At least 10 people were killed in the clashes. The violence stopped only when Pakistan's Supreme Court ordered Khan's release. Following the police barricading, Imran Khan said in a tweet that he may be arrested once again. Punjab provincial government spokesman Amir Mir said that police were ready to use firearms if attacked. He said that at least 3,400 suspects linked to the clashes have been arrested and that more raids are planned. This is Akashvani giving you the world news. Welcome back. The Embassy of India, Kathmandu, and the Ministry of Federal Affairs and General Administration, Government of Nepal, signed MOUs for undertaking 2 high-impact community development projects in Nepal under the grant assistance of Government of India, one each in healthcare and education sectors, at a total estimated cost of 80.33 million Nepalese rupees. The construction of these 2 projects aims at providing better healthcare and education facilities for the local community and improving the quality of life for the people of Nepal. The construction of Malagiri Shanti Yoga Ashram, Ramechhap District and Kedar Jyotipunj Multiple Campus, Doti District of Nepal, shall be implemented through Ramechhap Municipality and Badi Kedar Rural Municipality, respectively. The 7th Nepal Chamber Expo 2023 kick-started on Thursday in local Bhrikuti Mandap in Kathmandu and will continue till 22nd of May. The event is organized by the Nepal Chambers of Commerce and showcases stalls of both domestic and international products. Exhibitors from India, Bangladesh and Pakistan had their products at the expo. This expo majorly focuses on trade dialogues, the exchange of export-import information and marketing of Nepalese goods. Ajrak saris, fabrics with kalamkari prints, mulberry and tussar saris from India, along with toys, kitchen equipment and many more made-in-India products were on sale. The Nepal Chambers of Commerce expects that this expo will encourage the domestic business community to explore potential competitive abilities in collaboration with the foreign trade community. The expo featured Nepalese handicraft products, tea, cottage and food products, herbs, automobiles, electronics, home decor, bamboo goods, hemp products, fashion wear and leather products. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi has warned Taliban rulers in Afghanistan against violating the water rights of its people over the shared Helmand River, reported the state-run IRNA news agency. Speaking after inaugurating a market in a Pakistan border town, President Raisi said Iran is determined to defend its water rights. He warned the Taliban to take his words seriously. The Helmand River flows from Afghanistan into Iran. President Raisi also urged the Taliban to allow Iranian hydrologists to check water levels of the river in Afghanistan. Vietnam on Thursday criticized recent activities by a Chinese research ship and the Philippine Coast Guard in the South China Sea. Vietnam has accused China and the Philippines of violating its sovereign rights. Vietnamese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Sam Soo Hyang said that Chinese vessels were violating sovereign rights and jurisdictions of Vietnam and added that it is taking appropriate measures to defend its rights. The contested parts of the South China Sea have been witnessing increased tensions as multiple nations stake their claims on the waters. The South China Sea is one of the world's most important trade routes and facilitates over $3 trillion of annual shipborne commerce. Recently, Chinese and Vietnamese vessels came face to face in the South China Sea when a Chinese research ship was moving within Hanoi's exclusive economic zone. China claims almost the entire South China Sea as its territory. In Italy, more than 20 rivers have breached their banks, submerging many cities and leaving 10 people dead. So far, over 13,000 people have been forced to evacuate their homes following record-breaking torrential rains. According to reports, almost every river was flooded between the northeast coast at Rimini and the city of Bologna. Around 280 landslides took place, leading to more overnight evacuations in Emilia-Romagna and Ravenna. Regional President of the Emilia-Romagna region, Stefano Bonaccini, said the damage caused ran into billions of euros. Chinese-owned social media app TikTok is facing complete ban in the United States state of Montana. The app has already been banned on U.S. government-issued devices and many American colleges. Montana Governor Greg Gianforte on Wednesday signed legislation to ban Chinese-owned TikTok from operating in the state. The ban aims to protect residents from alleged intelligence gathering by China. With this, Montana has become the first U.S. state to ban the short video app. Montana said TikTok could face fines for each violation and additional fines of $10,000 per day if it violates the ban. The ban is to take effect from 1st January 2024. Amazon Web Services, AWS, will invest around 1,05,000 crore rupees by 2030 on cloud-related infrastructure in India. The company is making this investment to meet the growing demand of customers in cloud services. Amazon's cloud computing unit said this in a statement released on Thursday. With this, Amazon's total investment in India by 2030 is estimated to reach over 1,36,000 crore rupees. The company says the investment in data center infrastructure is expected to create an average of over 1,31,000 full-time jobs annually in the Indian business. According to the statement, the jobs that will be created by this investment include sectors like construction, engineering, telecommunications, and others. Britain's biggest broadband and mobile provider, BT Group, will be laying off around 55,000 staff, including contractors, by 2030. This constitutes over 40% of BT Group's workforce. The layoff is mainly due to the completion of the fiber rollout and the adoption of new technologies such as artificial intelligence (AI) by the company. The telecom firm has been working to build a national fiber network and roll out high-speed 5G mobile services. The company said that the adoption of new technologies will help it function with the help of a much smaller workforce and significantly reduced cost base by the end of 2030s. BT Group's total number of workers would reduce from 1,30,000 to between 75,000 and 90,000 by 2030. In the Indian business market, benchmark domestic indices ended lower for the third straight session in a row, led by losses in stocks of sectors such as realty, services and power. The BSE Sensex closed below 61,500 points, while the NSE Nifty settled below 18,150 level. Both indices declined even as global share markets were positive. A report.
Sensex fell by 130 points to finish at 61,432. Nifty at the National Stock Exchange also slipped by 52 points to end at 18,130. However, Asian stocks are closed with gains. Japan's Nikkei 225 climbed 1.6%. Both South Korea's Kospi and Hong Kong's Hang Seng rose 0.8% each. China's Shanghai Composite Index gained 0.4% and Singapore's Straits Times Index added 0.3%. The positive sentiment was also reflected in the European markets. Oil prices eased as traders warily watched for signs of progress in talks to raise the U.S. debt ceiling. Prices had surged in the previous session on optimism over U.S. fuel demand. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $72.66 per barrel. Back home, gold prices at the multi-commodity exchange for June contracts was trading at around 59,890 rupees per 10 grams. On the other hand, silver was trading at 72,100 rupees per kilogram for July contracts when reports last came in. And in the foreign exchange market, the rupee closed at 82 rupees and 59 paise against the US dollar. Arjun Chaudhary for World News, Akashvani.
On to sports now. Tennis legend Rafael Nadal on Thursday pulled out of the French Open because of a hip injury that has sidelined him from the game since January. Nadal also said that he expects 2024 to be the final season of his career. Nadal, who is the owner of a record 14 championships at the clay court Grand Slam tournament, will miss it for the first time. He made his debut in the tournament in 2005. Speaking to reporters, Nadal said that he does not want to set a date for his return to the tennis tour, but expects it to take months, but declared his intention to retire next year. The French Open begins at Roland Garros in Paris on 28th of May.
Probably I'm not going to watch every single match, but of course the tournament is going to be super interesting matches that I will be happy to follow. Tournaments stays forever, players plays and live, so Roland Garros will be always Roland Garros, with or without me, without a doubt. The tournament is going to keep being the best event in the world of play, and going to be one Roland Garros champion. Not going to be me, going to be another one, and that's the life. And the tournament is going to be for sure a big success without me. All the best for Roland Garros. Work already with Amelie.
In women's hockey, Australia defeated India 4-2 at Mates Stadium in Adelaide, Australia on Thursday. This is the first game of the 5-match series. The next match is scheduled on the 20th of this month, that is Saturday. The tour is part of the Indian team's preparations for the upcoming Hangzhou Asian Games 2023, which will take place in September-October this year. The team, led by ace goalkeeper Savita and vice-captained by Deep Grace Ekka, will play in the first 3 games of the series, followed by 2 matches against Australia. The Australian women's hockey team is currently ranked 3rd in the world, while the Indian team is ranked 8th. And now let's take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Wall Street Journal reports train derails in Russia-controlled Crimea with authorities blaming outsiders. The Guardian writes UK crime agency to pursue up to 100 lawyers accused of helping traffickers. Washington Post reports as AI changes jobs, Italy is trying to help workers retrain. Le Monde writes China envoy in Kiev says no pan-Asia to end Ukraine war. Globe and Mail writes fight against misinformation tests the limits of defamation law in US. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a 3-nation tour of Japan, Papua New Guinea and Australia on Friday. US President Joe Biden holds talks with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Both leaders agree to address regional security challenges including coercive behavior by China, North Korea. US court approves extradition of 2611 Mumbai attack accused Sahabur Rana to India. Indian naval ships carrying relief material reached Cyclone Mocha hit Myanmar under Operation Karuna. Montana to become first US state to ban TikTok on personal devices. Amazon Web Services to invest over 1 lakh crore rupees in India by 2030 to create over 1,30,000 jobs. UK telecom company BT Group to cut up to 55,000 jobs by 2030 due to rise in uses of fiber and artificial intelligence. Tennis legend Rafael Nadal to miss French Open due to hip injury, expects 2024 to be last year of his career. And in women's hockey, India lose to Australia by 2-4 at Mates Stadium in Adelaide. And now before we end, let's listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from Sweden.
Para
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.